Hello everyone and welcome to the weekly trade review number 23. My name is Alex Winkler and last week was a fairly awesome, slow but steady week. There was a lot more I could have done, but with a small portfolio, busy schedule, and no losses, I couldn't be any happier. There's lots of cool 80% completed pending projects that are just about to be done. I need roughly around 2 more weeks for those things, and then my time will free up a lot for trading. So everything's looking right around target for 2019. Until then, I'll be keeping the weekly trade reviews a bit tighter. Just a quick review of the top trades, biggest lessons, and what's planned for next week. In this video lesson, I'm also going to be talking about my top trading pattern that I have been using to short the market right now over and over again, and it is working like a charm. I'll be as quick as possible, but there's some really good lessons in last week's trades, so make sure to watch the video till the end. So to start, like always, I'll have the trading journal overview. You can see that there was only one small trade Monday, and most of the trading didn't get started till midweek. The best thing about this week is that I had no real losses, and with just a very few small position trades, I was able to make around 360 bucks. So that was pretty cool. You can also see there's a lot less trading activity. So even though I'm trading less, I'm consistently more profitable just because I'm getting a little bit more attuned to trading crypto instead of equities. So that's really, really nice here, and I'm constantly updating the course to reflect those things. Alright guys, time for the good stuff. So this is my favorite chart pattern towards the end of 2018 that I want to share with you guys. And I have found that this pattern is consistently profitable, and I actually have a live trade I'm trying to get into right now, again based off this pattern. So the ascending channel short is basically when the price goes down after we hit usually a resistance level that right now, since the price, we're in a little bull run right now, and the price keeps going past resistance levels. Usually at those levels, we'll have a bit of consolidation or the price will break back down. And right now we're seeing it again. And once that price breaks back down, usually after the initial crash, you will have the price slowly working its way up before a further crash. And it looks like we just got into this position. So right now, again, you can see here we are forming an ascending channel, and this is just how it looks like. I don't have my mouse right now, so it's a little hard to zoom in, but basically you can see that here is a ascending channel happening. The price goes up, and usually around the third touch I will like to short. Sometimes instead of the third touch, I'll wait for a breakdown and then a bounce back here, and I'll short again right around here. That's a completely different pattern, and that pattern is a bit more heavy on relying for a confirmation. And that's why I call that chart pattern the breakdown bounce. What I'm doing now is actually fairly similar, and I will be shorting again into this pattern. So as you can see here, I quickly draw these lines. Oh, again, it's a little tricky to draw these lines on a laptop without a mouse, but I'm giving it my best shot. Anyway, this pattern just consistently repeats itself, and I really, really like it. This pattern is also a bit different because this time we already broke down quite a bit. So this is our second major breakdown, and we're going to be coming close to this former support level right around here at 8.6. And we're going to potentially be seeing a bit of resistance. So I'll be following this trade quite closely during this video lesson. So as that trade is marinating, let me share with you guys the 3 bigger trades I made this week that I really liked. Again, here you can see that this was an ascending channel short. And I did say that this pattern was a bit more choppy than normal, and I typically try to avoid chop, but we were hitting those really, really nice resistance levels, so I did get into this trade. You can see here on Bitfinex's little screenshot my entry level and the little channel right here that was forming where I started to short. And then on a longer time frame, a bit easier to see, right around here is the ascending channel right here, and I shorted near the highs of it, and then I covered right away after that broke down. This is basically the pattern that I was doing all week. On the next trade, you can see on day trade 212, again, this was a ascending channel short. And I always talk about these trades ahead of time in the morning watch list. So before I make any trades, I publish the watch list and talk to anyone that has any questions, just so you guys know what I'm looking at, and everything is transparent. So right here, as I stated in the morning watch list, there was a resistance line retest short. So basically we were hitting some top resistance line and breaking out to new highs. But once we hit that resistance line where previously we either broke down from, so it was a support line originally, now we are coming back up to that line. And usually around those areas we see resistance. and that is why I look for those areas to get in. I typically don't get in resistance lines exactly, because sometimes you hit them, it goes down for a second and then just keeps shooting up. What I look for is more confirmation. So it hits them and then it really breaks down, and then the ascending channel starts. So it's more of a confirmation pattern, just like the breakdown bounce, where the breakdown bounce is a confirmation of an ascending channel short. So it kind of is a confirmation of a confirmation. Each pattern is a bit different and should be traded differently, but I do like the ascending channel short just because sometimes you get a bit better of an entry. Quickly for you guys, just to zoom in here, you guys could do this on your own time, but just to show you, here's again is the ascending channel, and this is where I built my entry. You really want to be careful on some of these trades though, because sometimes you'll break down and you'll be up maybe around 3% profit, and then you're hoping maybe for 5-6% profit, and then before you know it, you could be in closing the trade for a loss. So it's really important to have your entries and exits picked out ahead of time, and you really wanted to know your risk and reward. So I trade these pretty scared, and I like to get out and take my profits right when I have them, usually around 3%. So I'm not, trying to hold these and make, double my money overnight. This is very quick trading and something I like to get in and out of when I see the right setup. The last big trade that I made was the NEO. It was actually a long and not a short. It was a support line bounce this time, so a bit different, actually entirely different, but also a very good trade to review here. So as you can see, right now I have a very bad glare on my screen, so it's hard to see, but we bounced right around this level, and actually the better view is actually in the long-term chart. And I think I even took a bigger picture of this. Right around here. So here you can see a couple days ago, we came down here and we bounced on this level. Then again, we bounced and came back up. And right around here, we did not bounce anymore. We simply broke through it, and then you can see that this level is now retesting the former high. Like I said, I typically do not trade these retests because sometimes the price does shoot, but as you can see here, it held true twice, and the third time it did break out. And then I took my first bounce here. This was a different trade that I did last week, and the trade I did this week was right here, and it worked out perfectly. You can see a bit more on the 5-minute chart how it bounced. I took my roughly 2.5% and closed out this trade. This worked very, very well, and I love these kind of patterns. What's actually crazy about this chart pattern is that I actually took a picture about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago of this exact pattern. And if you go to courses and go on Intro to Crypto Trading course, you can see roughly what I'm talking about here. It's on day 3 where I talk about support and resistance lines. And it's crazy how these patterns kind of hold true again and again. And let me quickly scroll down a little bit and see if I can find this. Alright, so I found it. And here you can see that almost the same thing happened. Here we have an initial breakdown where it hits a support line, and here you can see it retested this support line, broke down it for a second, and then it bounced up. We had a third retest here, and on the fourth retest we hit it, and then we had a little confirmation right here where it retests the highs and then it sinks again. And this is crazy because here you can see almost exactly the same thing happening, where the price comes from here, hits it, retests, shoots up. Unfortunately, the third time it did crash. Here we had a third time it held, and then the fourth time. So that's kind of the power of support and resistance lines and how you can plan trades around those lines. And that's exactly what I'm doing over and over again. Moving on to the biggest lessons, one of the things I want to talk about that I kind of mention quite frequently is just being less aggressive. Sometimes my biggest reason I don't have a big winner that day, or I have a small loss, or whatever, I have a scratch, is because I don't let the price come to me. And some of these trades, especially this one right here, the 211 NEO long position, is a perfect example of that. It was a support line bounce that I did not let come to me, and I missed out on maybe around 10% profits because of that. I simply got in too early, and when the price came back down, I kept going down, and my position no longer looked good. I got out of that trade. And this is where swing trading kind of comes in a little bit better, but with day trading you want to get in and out of positions quickly because you're not investing, you're simply looking for patterns, taking advantage of those patterns, and then closing out your position. The second, hope or whatever becomes your strategy, that's no longer a good sign, and you should get out of that position. A lot of people ask me, why don't you just hold a position when the price goes against you? And the thing is, If you're trading, that's usually not a good idea. If I was investing, maybe I would hold that position for a couple months or maybe even a year. But if I'm trading, I'm looking for a quick in and out, and I want to free up my capital. If I'm going to hold that position, one, the price may never come back where I originally got in. So that's a huge no-no. And if the price does come back, maybe I'm going to be holding for a few months. That's a bunch of time that I'm not even able to trade. So that's not a good idea either. If I'm looking for a long position, then that whole entire trade would be different altogether. So you gotta remember, with day trading, you want to get in and out of position very quickly. And when that position no longer holds to your original thesis, then it's a good time to get out. So I want to quickly review this trade with you guys, and that shows this perfectly. This was going to be a support line bounce, and I simply got in right around the support line. Unfortunately, if I waited a bit longer to open my position here, I would have held it through and maybe even rode it up to around here. So that could have been a really nice trade, but I ended up getting out for, I don't know, 50-cent loss or something like that. Yeah, right here. So I mean, no big deal. I didn't lose any money, but again, just by being a little less aggressive on that entry, this could have been a profitable trade, and that's a mistake I do actually make quite frequently. You got to also remember, worst case, if I'm less aggressive, I don't get the position and I miss the trade. But best case scenario, I get a very nice entry, and then I am able to capitalize on much bigger profits. The thing is, you also want to make sure that if you do keep waiting for the price to get to you, that your original pattern still holds true. Because if you just wait, too long, or the price is doing something completely different, maybe that original pattern you wanted to get in no longer makes sense. So you have to be a bit conscious about a few different variables. But typically, waiting for the price to come to you and not chasing an entry is almost always a good idea. So this last little scratch was a resistance line retest that I talk about that I usually don't do. And here you can see why. Is we touched this high level, and right afterwards we kind of hung around that area, and I didn't really know what was going on, so I eventually got out. I don't entirely remember how this played out, but this is a reason that I typically don't take this trade, because it's more of a guessing game. You don't have that nice ascending channel short that is much more predictable. So let's quickly go back to the trade that I am making right now. You can see that this little ascending channel is breaking down. Right now I'm roughly, $78 profit on a fairly small position. I didn't get fully executed, and this comes down to being less aggressive. I am not upset about that, because the price could have easily shot up a bit more and executed me. So it's just a numbers game. Next time I'll probably be maybe a bit luckier. We'll see what happens. But ultimately, you want to really focus on having good risk reward, and that's what I did this trade, so I'm pretty happy. I'll most likely be closing out this trade fairly soon. I do like to hit between 2 and 3%, sometimes aim more towards that 4% profit, especially on these smaller day trades. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty weird to be in a trade during this video, and if I awkwardly pause the video for any reason, it's probably because I wanted to focus on this trade for a little bit, as I usually like to watch the price action, and right now I am total glared. But I would like to get this trade review out and ready to go. I'm going to quickly finish up by saying that next week I'm going to start looking for longer term picks, so definitely keep an eye out to that in the Discord chat and in the investor watch list. I like to post everything that I'm planning to do in there. You can also go to Investor and check out my portfolio. That's always a really cool place to see what my current holdings are and what I am planning to continue to get into, since I comment on those trades quite frequently. The reason I want to start looking into longer term positions is because we're seeing a lot of nice signs that I talk about in my proven investing strategies for long-term growth, and this is in my advanced crypto trading course. So again, to access that, you just go to courses and click advanced crypto trading course, and you'll have all the stuff there. I actually did just sell some long-term positions in this little bull rally that we're having in the longer term bear market. So next week I'm going to be talking about those positions that I closed, and what I would really like to be doing is to do some dollar cost averaging in the next pullback. I just had to change positions because the house got raided by some guests, and I needed to finish up the video. Luckily I was almost done, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, I'm planning a lot more videos for 2019, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. I would be happy to throw a question into a video and publish that for you guys. Well, that's all for me. I hope you guys have an amazing holidays, and happy trading, everyone. Ciao, ciao.